Hi everyone, I hope you're doing really well. My name's Afton and thanks for joining me today. The purpose of this video is purely because my collector brain wants me to buy a new deck, which is ridiculous because I have 7 decks that I acquired between the very end of December and January. So I do not need to buy a new deck. And in fact, my brain kicked in like not even a day or two after I got one of these decks and was like, you should buy a new deck. No, I do not need to buy a new deck. So we are going to look at the decks that have recently come into my collection in an attempt to cure me of my collector's brain itching and wanting to go and buy something else, because it's a real thing. I don't know about you guys, if you guys struggle with this. I definitely do. I am a collector. Like I have decks in my collection that I have never used. I don't plan on getting rid of them because I think they're beautiful, but I have a large collection. And there's nothing wrong, don't get me wrong, with having a large collection. Clearly, I am a collector. I have a big collection of decks. But there also comes a time when you need to, when I need to think about what I already have. Why is my brain saying that you need to buy a new deck? And do I already have something in my collection that fills whatever niche that new deck that I'm looking at is going to bring into my collection? So that's what we want to talk about today. We're purely trying to get my brain reinterested in these decks that have already come into my collection so that I can try and not buy a deck. We'll see if I'm successful. I really think I've been good so far. This has been going on the last 2 weeks or so. I've been really having that itch of wanting to buy something else. But to be honest with you, I just financially, I can't justify buying anything else at this point. So let's look at what I have bought in the last little while and remind myself about these really cool decks because they are really beautiful. All right, where should we start? Let's start with what most recently came in, and that is the Seasons of the Witch Ostara Oracle. This one, I actually forgot that it was coming out. I had just pre-ordered it on Amazon, and by some miracle, if any of you have been having issues with pre-orders on Amazon Canada, I have. This one came in like the day it was released, so something went right. But I forgot that it was coming. I had no idea. So yeah, this is the last of the Seasons of the Witch Oracle decks to come out. And it's really pretty. I'm not generally an orange person, so I was a little bit surprised by the color palette, but I think it's pretty. It's got the rainbowy gilded edges, and this is actually really the first time I'm flipping through it. It's super pretty. I'm loving all these this aquamarine, these green colors in this. So this will probably, go on my shelf in the meantime because we're not obviously at Ostara yet. And I'm still using my in bulk Oracle from this series. But yeah, it's really pretty. I do really like the new artist. She's not new anymore. I think she's done the majority of them at this point. Tiana Lukovic. And yeah, it's really neat. Ostara isn't really something that I usually take a whole lot of notice of. I'm fairly new into the whole seasons, the whole wheel thing. So this is one that I'm relatively unfamiliar with, other than, I guess, I'm looking at them the hare's fertility. I'm guessing that this is going to have something to do with Easter, is kind of associated with this. So yeah, but that's all new to me. The deck arrived in pretty good condition. I've had some that did not arrive in great condition, but this one's looking all right. So yeah, that's the Season of the Witch Ostara Oracle. Not super something, like I said, I'm gonna start working with right away. So this was more of like a show and tell, hey, I got this, rather than reminding myself, oh, I should work with this, because I'm not going to work with this in the while we're, what am I trying to say? Words, guys. I'm not gonna be working with this right away, but that's okay. Put that off to the side. Oh, but this, I will say, this is the fabric that I'm planning on making a bag for it out of. So I'm excited to do that. Maybe we'll do that later today. All right, what else have I gotten in recently? I got the Earthwoman Tarot. If you watched one of my last videos, I think it was the end of year tarot tag. One of the prompts was what's a tarot accessory that you love, that you've gotten in the last year. And so if you watch that, you might remember this lovely bag. And I had mentioned that I wanted to get the Earthwoman Tarot at that time and use this bag for it. But Amazon Canada was being really dumb and didn't have it in stock, and they were doing a bunch of stuff, like weird stuff with the pricing and all. Yeah, it was just a whole thing. So I had canceled a pre-order that I had, but then it actually came back into stock at a lower price than what the actual list price was for it. So I did actually grab it, and I've got it in here already. So I'm actually really excited. I think I've shuffled it. Yeah, I've shuffled this, but I haven't actually used it. I need to do like a deck interview with it before I do anything. But yeah, it's just so pretty and the colors match so well. So yeah, it's such a pretty deck. Some people get weirded out by the no faces. I'm finding that I don't mind it at all. I love that this is kind of almost like a nighttime deck. Most of I would say probably the majority of the cards have more of like a nighttime scene as opposed to day, which I think is really cool. Yeah, it's super pretty. I don't actually mind the cardstock. It feels a little cardboardy, but not too bad. Like the colors in this are just absolutely beautiful. And I also really like that Eight of Pentacles. And I like how it's got this, like the semi borders, how the artwork continues right out to the edge of the card, but then they've got like almost like this transparent border there. I really like that. That's actually, if I could pick a type of border to have on a deck, that would be it. Because sometimes artwork needs a border, right? But other times it feels too constricting to the artwork. And this, I think, is a really nice compromise. I always think it's really neat when if you've got a solid border, but then you have the artwork that almost kind of creeps outside of that, if you've seen any of those types of decks. So yeah, I really like this. It's really pretty. Obviously a very feminine deck. There's not a lot for male figures in this. So if you're someone who likes to find more of a balance of masculine and feminine within your decks, this definitely leans more feminine. But I mean, like you had fair warning because it's the Earthwoman Tarot, right? There we have a more masculine presenting figure there in the Kings. But yeah, this is a really lovely deck. If you're looking for something that is, you know, mass market, not going to break the budget, this is a really good option. And I've been seeing this crop up on YouTube on other people's channels fairly often here as well in the last little bit. So it's definitely having its moments. So yeah, I'm really excited to start working with this. So that is the Earthwoman Tarot by Tarn Ellis in my lovely pouch here by Moonlit Fae. If I did not state earlier, that's who it's by. You can go to the website and buy, this is the medium size pouch, I believe. Grab a drink of water. All right, what do we have next? Let's talk about this guy. So this is a printed out yourself Lenormand deck. I've been wanting to start learning the Lenormand system. And I have a few Lenormand decks. I think I have about 5, but I wasn't willing to write on any of them. I was looking at doing the Lisa Pepez's Learn Lenormand with Me course that she's doing online on her YouTube channel. And she recommended having a deck that you can actually write the actual like meanings of the cards on initially. And I didn't have any that I could do that easily on. And so I was kind of on the lookout for a deck, and I was having trouble finding one that, yeah, I could actually write on. And so I eventually came across this deck, which is called Simply Lenormand, and it's by Divination Apothecary on Etsy. And this is her digital like PDF printable version that she has. She does also sell it like, you know, the actual like hard copy format as well for, I think it's like about $50 Canadian. But this was perfect because it was cheap. I think I paid like $11 or $12 for the PDF. And then I just purchased some cardstock paper and printed it at home, and I got my trimmer out and cut all the cards out. And yeah, I think it's gonna work really well. It's super pretty. That was part of it too, was the decks that I was finding that were cheaper that I could have written on, like just ordering it off of Amazon. I just wasn't, they didn't attract me like in terms of actual looks. And some Lenormand cards or decks, you have to be careful because they won't necessarily have the titles on them. This one, as you can probably tell, does not have the playing card associations on them. So I will most likely go in and add that myself just so that I have it. But I just think it's really pretty, and it was super affordable for what I was looking for something that I plan to write all over. And if I like it, I will most likely go back to her site and purchase a hard copy at some point. But this was, yeah, perfect. And what's also really cool about this is that within the PDF, she also has pages of like the backs. So you can print it double-sided with a design on the back, which is really cool. So yeah, I just think it's so pretty, like these pops of indigo. Super nice. And I believe there's 2 man cards and 2 woman cards. Yeah, so gentleman and lady. And there's the other lady and, oh, where did it go here? Lost it. There it is, there's the other gentleman. So 2 gentlemen. Oh, and obviously I cut off the N on that one. And lady. So yeah, so that is my Lenormand deck. Like I said, just a PDF file that I printed off at home. The Divination Apothecary, like I said, it's her Etsy shop. She's also the creator of the Pixie's Whisper Tarot, if you're familiar with that. That's another one, tarot that I would like to get at some point in the future. I was actually looking at the Christmas version of it. So that I will, yeah, probably pick up at some point. But she's got tons of decks on there and a few different PDF decks as well. So check her out. I will, if I remember, put her link down in the below for you. But yeah, that's the Simply Lenormand. All right. Next up, let's check out this guy. So this is the 3rd edition of the Bohemian Gothic Tarot. This I got right at the beginning of January, I think, secondhand, obviously. I have the 4th edition in the black wooden box, and I was thinking about getting a second copy of that. Because again, collector's brain, and of course they will eventually the Bob Studios decks will eventually all go out of print, and they tend to go for really high prices. And so I was thinking about getting a second copy of the 4th edition of the Bohemian Gothic before it went out of print. But something kept holding me back, and I realized that I wanted a different edition if I could get it. And so this happened to come up on another Etsy shop called AV Tarot Market out of the States. And she had it on there for like a relatively decent out of print price. So I grabbed it. So this was like my big splurge just after Christmas that realistically, should I have spent the money on it? No, probably not, but I'm not sad that I did. So this is, like I said, the 3rd edition. I love these clamshell boxes. That's, what do we got in there? I love these ones as compared to the wooden boxes that they've put out now. This one has an alternate lover's card. This is the one that I took out, and I've just been keeping it in the bottom of the box. Title card, and then this must have been printed around the time that they were going to print the Alice Tarot. So that also was with it. We've got our little white book. And then these are the backs. I love these backs. I detest the backs on the 4th edition. They're black and they've got like a skull and there's something else going on. Maybe like I don't remember if it's a lantern or whatnot. This is so much nicer in my personal opinion. And this one almost, I don't think it's the cold foil stamping, but it almost looks like it is, like it has that sheen to it. So yeah, but this edition does not have the cold foil stamping like the newer editions, and new printings that they've been doing, have. And that's kind of what I was after. Because I find with how dark the colors are in this deck that the cold foil in the 4th edition actually tends to obscure a lot, which is also a concept that I really like in a way with this deck in particular. Like, what does that cold foil stamping actually obscure? What does your mind obscure? What can't you actually see in the dark, right? So that's kind of a cool concept, but I do really like this edition as well. The artwork is, yeah, just that much clearer, which is obviously super important. I think there are a couple cards that are different between the editions, but overall it is quite similar. Like the Fool, so much of this in the newer edition, I would not have been able to see just moving the card slightly. And you can see everything here, which is lovely. So yeah, this is the Bohemian Gothic 3rd edition. And I'm really grateful to have this. I'm glad that I didn't purchase a second copy of the 4th edition. Oh, the coloring in this card is completely different from what it is in the fourth edition. I feel like she has like a purple dress on in the 4th edition. So it's like it's almost like washed out, which is really neat. So yeah. And this deck, I've said it before in one of my videos, but I lean towards this deck in particular in more of like the January, February months. It's not so much a Halloween season or Samhain season deck for me. Just for purely personal reasons. Yeah, that's just the vibe that it grabs. Like this seems like such a, I mean, there's greenery here, but yeah, it just makes me think of cold, everything's dead, that kind of a thing. So it makes me think of winter rather than fall. Yeah. The colors in that's an amazing card. I love that card. I think I remember in my previous video where I was actually talking about this deck and why I use it in January, February. I had misquoted. I had said, oh, I drew these 2 cards, and it kind of gave this meaning for me, but it was actually, I misstated one of the cards, and this was the 6 of Swords was the one that actually, this card meant a lot to me when I drew it in that particular reading. That kind of solidified my relationship with this deck. But anyway, yeah, so that is the Bohemian Gothic 3rd edition by Baba Studios. And that is, again, a very recent, well, about a month or so ago, addition to my collection that I'm super happy about and plan to use more this month, I think. Right as we're going into Valentine's Day. Why? Because it makes total sense, right? Use Bohemian Gothic right around Valentine's Day. Okay, what else have we got? The Efflorescent Tarot. This one was bought more on a whim. This was on Kickstarter last year, and I was very, very close to backing the deck, and then I didn't. And then it came out, I saw people were receiving their copies, and then I saw that the creator had more copies on their website. So I grabbed a copy, and I was like, oh, should I have bought it? I'm really happy I did. Let's see, so we've got gold foil detail on the box, which is lovely. Came with a couple extra stickers. This one is from the Little Monsters Tarot that they reprinted at the same time as they did this. I did not get that deck. It just wasn't drawing me. I think what I've been realizing is that I'm not a fan of decks with a lot of white space. I prefer it when they're more fully, the scene is more fully illustrated rather than just like the character smack dab in the middle of the card. That's just a personal thing that I'm starting to realize. The guidebook also has this beautiful gold detailing on it. Pretty chunky. It's even got like gold along the edges, which is super pretty. And it's pretty straightforward. There are no pictures, obviously. There aren't even page numbers, so I can't even tell you how many pages there are in this guy. And then these are the backs. We've got beautiful gold gilding. Normally I would not be a fan of the shiny gold gilding. This though is like butter soft. It is not the really sharp gilding that you sometimes get. It is so soft, it does not bother me one bit. These are the backs. Again, we've got the gold detailing on the backs, and I love these. I think this blue is gorgeous, like just a soft sky blue. And then all the, I was gonna say, it almost looks like feathers, but they are leaves on here. Oh, I guess no, there are some feathers there. Yeah, super pretty. And then these are the cards. Apologies, this is a glossy deck, so if there's a little bit of shine, I apologize. Just how I've got my phone set up recording this, I can't really see if there's a glare or not. But these are absolutely beautiful. Let's go like this. And I think one of the things that made me question whether or not I wanted this deck, because I don't remember if I had backed it and then canceled my pledge or if I just never backed it. I think I might have canceled this one. Sliding a little bit here. Is that all the characters in this deck seem very melancholy, regardless of what suit or what the card is that they are in. And so I hesitated because I was like, oh, like if we're in like the cups and like it's like 3 of cups and should be a happy card, they look sad. So yeah, so I wasn't sure initially, but I got it and I really love it. I did a deck interview with this a week or 2 ago, and I got some of the most amazing answers from this deck. I think I'm going to really, really love this deck. Yeah, so here we go. 3 of Cups there. They just look kind of sad rather than excited to be together. Oh, I was sticking together. So yeah. So it's going to be really interesting to explore this deck. It is definitely giving me like air vibes. It is a 100% like air element. That's what rules this deck for sure. This is beautiful. There's not a whole lot of this green. I remember when I was flipping through before, And I saw that green and I was like, oh, that's so interesting, that color of green. I think there's maybe one other card that has that color in there. So pretty. That Lover's card is beautiful. Devil. I could just sit here just flipping through and looking at the artwork. I need to make a bag for this deck. Oh, I got some of the gold rubbed off on that card. I need to make a bag. I have 2 options for fabrics that I'm trying to decide between. There's the sun card. That's what's on the front of the box. This is also a slightly oversized deck. It's more that oracle size. And it is a little bit big for my hands because it's a thicker cardstock. I think it's 350 GSM, I believe. But it actually shuffles pretty well because it is glossy. Nice and smooth. There's again that green color. What am I doing here? This card, I appreciate that there's more going on in the Three of Swords. I actually really love the Three of Swords as a card in general, like the meaning behind it. And this gave me pause when I first saw it because it's, yes, it's the 3 swords in the heart, but it's not, there's more to it than that. Yeah, I'm fascinated by how her hair almost looks like, it reminds me of roots going down into the ground. And this idea of, it seems like it's so barren, and yet there's still all of this happening here going down into the ground. So it's also giving me a lot of earth vibes as opposed to just, you know, obviously we're in the suit of swords. And you've got this beautiful depiction of the sky here, but then it's also very much body, material, earth element as well. So yeah, I think that's a really, really neat card. Also, people have been like weirded out by how long the fingers are on some of these people, which also I agree, but it doesn't honestly bother me all that much. High Priestess here. This is really cool. I like how she's got like these pendulums hanging from her hand. I think that's really neat. Yeah. So that is the Efflorescent Tarot. This is, I believe, is still available on the creator's website. So you can check it out there if you're so inclined. I'll show you the materials that I was debating on making the bag out of. So this is one. So it's both of these that I have for options are very flowery. This one is, let's do it this way. Pull it over like this, flatten it out. So this is one option. And I think this works really well, especially like just this color palette, the kind of rusty orange that outline the flowers here. But at the same time, I have a different one, a different material, which is this one. And I'm actually really tempted by this one. And I think, even though the colors, like, I mean, the colors go well. This one has more pink in it, but I think because this one reminds me, it makes me think of like leaves flying in the wind, that kind of a thing. And so I think because there is that element of the wind, air, that air element in this, I'm leaning towards this one. So we'll see. The next time I show this deck on here, for whatever reason, I guess we'll find out. If you guys have a preference, let me know down below in a comment. I would love to hear from you which material you think I should make the bag out of. So yeah, Efflorescent Tarot. Pop that back in its box. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to using that one. I think it's gonna be one of those decks that was like the big surprise. I don't want to say a soul deck yet, but it might be. Okay, what else have we got? Pop these away. We're getting towards the end here. I have 2 more decks. The first one is this one. This is the Winter Season Tarot by Lenormand. And at the same time, when I was purchasing this deck, I bought her, oh gosh, Odin's Playbook. That's this guy here. So we'll focus on this one for right now. So Winter Season Tarot, this is also a Kickstarter that was on last year. And I also was very tempted to back it, and then I did not. So I bought this after the fact, like I said, early January, I think, after the Canada Post strike was done. And this one, we've had a little bit of a rocky start. And I don't think it's going to continue that way. But what happened was I pulled it out of the box, gave it a bit of a shuffle, and then just pulled a card or 2. And it wasn't giving me really clear answers to the question that I was asking. Or maybe my question wasn't clear. That could have also been it. But typically when I get a new deck, the first thing that I will do is I'll flip through the cards, I'll shuffle it, and then I'll actually do a deck interview spread. And I didn't do that with this one. And I also typically, when I get a brand new deck, I will just like sit here and kind of hold it and kind of try and tune into its energy. And maybe I'm weird, but I will actually talk to my decks in my brain, like, you know, when I'm asking questions, right? Or I'll thank it for providing me with answers. I will sometimes even like ask permission, right? You know, usually I'll ask permission like to start using it right when I get it. That's like one of the first things. And I didn't do that with this one. And so I finally did the deck interview, and I was getting just kind of answers all over the place. Nothing was making sense. I wasn't able to really connect the answers that I was getting. It wasn't making sense to me. And so I was like, oh no, because I really love the artwork in this deck. It's so different. And it's one that I sat there and I was basically waiting to order it until that Canada Post strike was over, because she's also in Canada, so she's shipped directly from her house. And yeah, I was waiting for the right time to order this. And I was really excited for it because it's just so beautiful. It is so applicable to where I live, because I'm also I'm in northern Alberta, and we have a ton of snow. It's in fact, well, it's not snowing right now, but we had a lot of wind and snow was blowing around. So this is what my winters look like. So I was really excited for it. And then I did that deck interview, and we were not connecting. And so I put it away for a few days and was like, okay, we got to try this again. Like, we're going to do another deck interview. And so I very purposely pulled it back out. Before I did anything with it, I just sat with it in my hands and tried to tune in, and apologized for not treating it with the respect that it deserves. And then we did another deck interview, and it went much, much better. So there is still hope for this deck. It is one that demands respect, and rightly so, as every deck deserves. And so we're going to give it another go and see what happens. Because it's so pretty. Like, look at this card. The mountains in the back. One thing I will say about this deck that I don't love is that I always kind of struggle when you've got the animals for the court cards, because there are obviously people in this deck, but none of the people appear in the court cards. So that sometimes throws me a little bit, and I have to do a little bit more thinking about what that court card is. But like hot chocolate for the Ace of Cups, like how amazing is that? Yeah, that Hierophant card is beautiful. This cardinals always remind me of my grandmother. She was an avid bird watcher. She loved birds. That makes me think of her. Yeah, so that is the Winter Season Tarot. Got off to a bit of a rocky start. Hopefully we're on the right path now. I haven't worked with it again since we did that last... No, I worked with it a couple times after I redid the deck interview, but it's been a little while. It's been kind of sitting on the sidelines for probably about a week and a half, 2 weeks. So I need to pull it back out, keep working with it. This cracks me up. They are vicious, okay? So, which I wouldn't consider the Queen of Swords as vicious, but it just makes me laugh. But definitely more sword-like than any other of the queens. Yeah, so we'll see how this goes. Super pretty. This deck, you probably can't tell on camera. It is gilded with a matte silver, like white silver, like pearly color. There's a little bit of sparkle there, but it is one of those things where it's like, it's so close to the, like a white. I'm a little bit like, why did you edge it? But every once in a while it catches the light. I'm like, oh yeah, I can see it. So yeah, we'll see how this one goes. This is available both on Danielle Norman's, I purchased it directly from her website, but she does have an Etsy shop as well. I always prefer purchasing from the creator's website if I can, because I believe when they have an Etsy site, Etsy takes part of the proceeds. And so this deck is actually, I think, $10 cheaper from her website than it is on Etsy for that reason, I believe. I think the price is higher on Etsy to make up for that portion that they take from the sale. So I will link her website below. Yeah, that is the Winter Season Tarot. This is the bag that I made for it. And I'm also actually not super happy with the bag because, as you can see, we're in 2 different color tones here, and I did not realize that when I bought this material. The pattern works super well. I love it, and it's sparkly. But I think I'm gonna make a new bag. I purchased this material, so we're a little bit better in the different color palette. You're more in the same, it's just softer. I don't know what it is. But I think we're gonna switch to this one. I think I'm gonna make a new bag. So yeah, there we are, Winter Season Tarot. The guidebook, pretty, she has, we've got the main message, or the little bit of information on what's in the card, upright and the reverse meaning as well. Yeah. And then the last deck, like I said, also a Danielle Norman deck. This is the Odin's Playbook. This one I bought more on, not so much, not a whim, I wouldn't say. I knew this deck existed. It had come into my awareness maybe about a year ago. There was a metaphysical store that I shop from online relatively often out in Nova Scotia. It's no longer in business, but they had a secondhand copy of this that I almost bought, and then I decided I didn't need it. And then when I was ordering the Winter Season Tarot, I was like, you know what? No, I'm gonna order, this one's catching my eye. And so I grabbed it at the same time, rather than spending, you know, double on shipping costs by getting it at a later time. So that's something I have to think about. It's way more expensive for shipping in Canada. It's horrible. Even stuff coming out of the States, shipping is horrible. Even shipping within Canada is super expensive. It's the dumbest thing ever. So yeah, This is Odin's Playbook. So this is a Norse rune deck. The guidebook is similarly set up to the winter season tarot. It's pretty basic. You've got your main information, and as well as a reversed meaning. You've also got the rune that's associated with each card. These are the backs, fully reversible, which is lovely. These are the edging. It's that like this dark blue. I love this color. The colors in this deck are absolutely beautiful. It's one of the main reasons I fell in love with it. Like, look at this. It's very, very bright. And it's honestly, it's the oranges and the reds in this one that get me. Like the Fool card. Like, it's just, it's stunning. That fuchsia color is just amazing. So it looks like all the core cards. I haven't done a whole lot with this deck yet. I did the deck interview and I have not worked with it since. But looking at this, it looks like all of the court cards have like this woven tapestry behind them. Devil card. Death. That is really cool. The gateway to beyond. Yeah, so this is one I'm really looking forward to working with. I don't know a whole lot about runes or really much about Norse mythology or Odin or anything, so I'm looking forward to that learning curve with this one. The suits are renamed, so Six of Horns. Horns is cups. Rings are pentacles. Axes are swords, and wands are staves. Like the colors, it's the colors in this one that really grab me. It's so luscious. The greens. This one is very much, I think, an earth-based deck. Ooh, that's an intense image. But I think it's lovely. It's got some nice diversity in it, despite being a Norse mythology deck. Yeah, I just think it's beautiful. So definitely one that I need to start working with here. And that is pretty much it for today. I think we finally come to the end. So I think I've been fairly successful in making myself interested in the decks that I already have and getting excited to work with them. So I'm really glad that, the purpose of this video, we've been successful. I think in terms of which deck I'm going to start working with first, there's so many choices now. You know what? I'm kind of leaning towards the Bohemian Gothic Tarot. I think that's the one that we're going to keep out and do my pulls tonight with. So I should maybe do a new deck interview with that. I don't know if I did a deck interview with the 4th edition when I got it. But I don't know about you, but when I get different editions, they feel like different decks to me almost. Like they always have a slightly different feel to them, different energy to them. So yeah, we'll see. I think I'm going to do that tonight, is do a new deck interview with the 3rd edition. And isn't this bag just the cutest? It is super adorable. All my little emblems there. So yeah, thank you guys for joining me today, and I really appreciate you being here. I think I'm gonna do another video fairly soon, actually, probably maybe this weekend still, because I want to do another tarot tag, the Tarotmance tag for Valentine's Day. So yeah, that will probably be coming out soon. Probably not until actually Valentine's Day, but keep an eye out for that because that is my next plan. And yeah, that's all for today. Thank you for being here. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, lovely weekend, all the good things to you. Bye.